Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Teacher Rayven and you're here at Teacher Rayven Vlogs. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, don't forget to click that subscribe button below and the notification bell for you to be updated on the future videos. And also, don't forget to click the like button on the Facebook page and share to your friends and family so that we can learn together. This is the part 5 of the verb series, and I hope that you already watched the other videos for verbs. If you haven't, I'll be putting the link here, okay, so that you can view those videos and go back to this one, okay, to proceed with the discussion about verbs, okay. So today we will be talking about the tense aspect system, which is also connected to your verbs. Okay, so I hope that you will learn something. Welcome everyone. This is Language Talks. Now, just like what I said in the introduction, we will proceed with the tense aspect system. Now, I want to show you that the tense aspect system is actually a very complex topic because it deals with structures, it deals with meaning and detail of the sentence. Okay, but let's first know what are your tenses or what is that aspect, okay, before we can dig deeper into the different tenses or the different aspects of the verb. Okay, so just a review, we all know that when we talk about tense, we have the past, the present, and also the future. Okay, and the usual form of the past tense is for irregular verbs, you have your inflection, D or ED, or inflections are the morphemes or letters or a letter that you put in a word in order to form another meaning. And in this case, for the past tense, we have the inflection D or ED. And for present tense, we add also in the base form, if it is a singular subject, we have your S and ES. And for plural, of course, we retain the base form of the verb. Okay? And for future, now this one is actually the misnomer or the one that wanted to be cleared out by some grammar teachers or grammar books. Now in the case of the reference of this video, okay, I actually consulted the book, the grammar book by Murcia. Okay, so there they actually explained that there is no such thing as the future tense. Okay, unlike what we already know and what our English teachers already taught us. But again, they are not wrong. Okay, of course, grammar is very dynamic or language is very dynamic, and in the process of discovering the different concepts about grammar, knowledge about grammar, some things are modified, some things are corrected, or some things are clarified through time. Now, in this case, we have the future as not really a tense, okay? But there is this concept of the future time, okay? Because when we talk about tense, we talk about inflections, okay? Or we add something to the verbs, just like your past and present. We add your D and ED for past, for regular verbs, and change the spelling if it is an irregular verb. And for present, we have for singular subjects, we have the inflection S or ES for the verb, and we retain the base form if it is a plural subject. But for future, the verb or the main verb is just put with a helping verb. And usually that is will or shall. Okay? So will or shall plus the base form of the verb. Okay? Now, since we all know already that clarification, okay, I hope that in the future, we also read more about this for us to have a clear picture of what really are your tenses and the true notion about the future tense. Now, here, I'm showing you the perspective of the grammar book, okay, by Murcia. Okay, so I also link the reference in the description, and even in the other videos, I have the references for the video. So you can check that out, okay? So again, I'm not debunking, or I'm not saying that the previous teachings that we had about that the past, present, and future tenses are actually wrong, okay? Now, to show you, okay, there is still the essence of the future time. Okay, so let's now dig deeper. We have the tense aspect system. Now, this is just a short discussion because this is just the introduction of the tense aspect system. And I just want to show you the difference between a tense and a difference between an aspect. Okay, so what is a tense? So a tense is a time when an action or event occurs. So we talk about time there in the tense. Okay, that's why you have the past, present, and the future. While for aspect, it's the structure of action or of the action occurring at any time. So meaning if you have time for tense, aspect is the form of the verb or the form of that action verb that you are using in order to what? To show, okay, an occurring action at any time. Okay, so to know more about that, let's have this chart. This is also from the book that I'm talking about. So when we talk about tense, it's your present, past, and future, or past, present, future. So in this chart, you will see that since it talks about time, okay, expression of time, of course, when we talk about the expression of time, okay, at the moment of speaking, okay, we talk about that, the past, the present, and the future. Well, for aspect, okay, when we talk about aspect, it's the structure or the form of the verb, okay? So that's why we have a simple, perfect, progressive, and perfect progressive, okay? So it does not actually talk about time, but it talks about the structure of the action, okay, that occurs at any time. Okay, so let's have the pink ones as your irregular verbs, okay, and the blue ones highlighted are your regular verbs. So you will see their form, okay? And now let's begin with the present. So for the present tense, we have again to consider the 4 different aspects. So for present, we have the simple present, we have the perfect present or the present perfect, we have the present progressive, and the present perfect progressive. Okay, so for simple present, as you can see here, for irregular verbs, okay, you have, or for both regular and irregular, you just add s or es, okay, for the verb. Okay, when we talk about a singular subject, we use the inflection s or es. But for example, in this one, we have writes for the singular subject. Well, for write, that's for your plural subject, or we retain the base form of the verb. The same thing with walk and walks. Okay, now the next one is the present perfect. So the present perfect's form is having your has or have. Remember, for your perfect, okay, perfect tenses, you have the idea that there is a helping verb and a past participle. So in this case, for irregular verbs, you have sometimes in a form of en, okay, after the verb, or we change the spelling, okay, for the past participle form. While for the regular verbs, it's always like your past form. You have your ed, okay, or d as past participle. So you have has or have. Again, has is used for singular subject, and have is used for plural subject. So remember that. Well, for your progressive, present progressive, you have am, that's the be verb used for I. Remember the pronoun I. Then we have is for any singular subject that you use, and are is used for any plural subject. Okay, so we have here be form plus the present participle. And as we all know, in the video of the principal parts of verbs, present participles, okay, their usual form is the verb plus ing. Okay, so that's why you have here am, is, or are plus writing am, is, or are for walking. And for present perfect progressive, you have has or have, okay, plus been. Okay, so the be form here, that because it's a combination of your progressive and also your perfect. So when we have the perfect, we have a past participle. Okay, past participle plus your helping verb. So, and then we add another progressive. So progressive here is the present participle. We have the present participle, the verb plus ing. So we have here has, have, plus been, plus your present participle. So in this example, you have has for singular subject, plus been, or be, the past participle of be, and then we have the present participle of the main verb, writing. So have for plural subject. And the same thing with has, have, has or have been plus walking. Okay? So that's your simple present, present perfect, present progressive, and your present perfect progressive. Okay? So of course, we will have separate videos for each of this. So I told you the verb series will be long. So I hope that you will be patient about it, because of course the main purpose is for us to have clearer knowledge about verbs, about all the concepts under the verbs. Okay, so the next one is your past tense. Okay, so for past tense, you have again 4 aspects. So you have the simple past here, you have your past perfect, your past progressive, and your past perfect progressive. Okay, so let's first have the simple past. So for simple past, as you can see in the irregular verbs, so for irregular verbs, of course, you use the past form, okay, or the past part of the verb, and that is usually changing the spelling, okay, or other ways. And then for your past tense, okay, for simple, for regular verbs, we have add the inflection d or ed. So for regular verbs, you add those inflections. Okay, so for example, in this case, we have walked. Okay, so plain and simple, subject plus the verb. Okay, for the past form of the verb. And then we have the next one, your past perfect. So for past perfect, it's the same for all. For your helping verb, it's always had. Okay, regardless if it is plural subject or a singular subject, it's always had. The helping verb had plus the past participle of your verb. Okay, so for in this case, we have written for the irregular verb write, and for walked for the regular verb walk. Okay, so always that form. Again, for past perfect, had plus past participle. Now for progressive, we have the form or the formula was or were, okay, plus the present participle. Of course, was is used for singular subject, and It's also used for I. So it is also the past form of am. Okay, so for am and is, was is the past form, okay, of your helping verb, or your linking verb, I should say. And then we have here another thing is your were. So were is used as the past form for are. So we have was or were, so meaning the past form of the helping verb plus your present participle, your verb plus ing. So we have here writing, was or were writing. And for the regular verbs, you have was or were walking. Okay, so of course, the separation of the slash is about the pluralization of the subject that you are using. So it's included here. And then lastly, for the past tense, we have the perfect progressive aspect. So for past perfect progressive, you have also the same form. Okay, so it's easier to understand and to remember the past. Okay, because you only have one form, that's had been. Okay, both for the singular subject and plural subject plus the present participle of the verb. So in this case, we have had been writing and had been walking. And then the last one, okay, so we have the future tense. The future tense with its aspects. As you can notice here, your verbs, okay, for the future tense, the simple future, okay, it doesn't have any inflection. Okay, you retain the base form, regardless if it is plural or singular subject. Okay, and then you just add the helping verb will, okay, or shall for some cases. So will write, and then will walk. So it's also easy to remember the future because for the future, you don't actually consider the pluralization of the subject, because regardless if it is singular or plural, you just use the same form, will or shall, plus the base form of the verb. Okay, and then we have for future perfect. For future perfect, we have will have, okay, or shall have. Okay, so again, the same form for both regular and irregular verbs. So will plus have plus the past participle of the verb. Okay, and then for progressive, future progressive, we have will be, the same thing for both singular and plural subject, and both for regular and irregular verbs. But again, you retain the present participle form. So we have will be writing, will be walking. And lastly, your future perfect progressive, we have will have been, the same for or shall have been. Okay, so we have will have been plus the present participle. It's always the case both for singular and plural subject, and also for regular and irregular verbs. Okay, now I want to tell you that some of the aspects, okay, are not anymore seen in a lot of essays, in a lot of books, okay, meaning it's not usually used, okay, for the new English that we have right now, for the current English grammar that we have, but still they are taught, okay, for clarity of the form or the structure of the action, and also the time element of each sentences. Okay, but again, it's not bad if you will just use simple aspect always when you write your sentences. Okay, but it just adds to the style of writing, to the style of having a wide array of choices of sentence structure or form, especially when we talk about sentences. Okay, so it adds to the variation of our sentence styles. Okay, so again, each aspect or tense we will talk about, so don't forget to click that subscribe so that you will be notified for the future videos. Okay? And I hope that you learned something. This is the tense aspect system. If you learned something and if you like this video, please don't forget to click that like button and that subscribe button and the notification bell for you to be updated on the future videos. And also, don't forget, if you want to ask questions, don't hesitate to contact me on my social media accounts and my email that is actually down below at the description box. And of course, you can also comment down below if you have suggestions of the future videos for this channel. Thank you everyone. Class dismissed.